Breathe in again. And release. And one more time, breathe in. And release. Thank you. So I had the privilege yesterday of performing a wedding, beautiful wedding, two beautiful young people, so sweet, as they pledged their love to each other in front of 100 or so of their closest friends and family. And as often happens when I do a wedding, I get to thinking about love. And I get to think about the various incarnations of love, because although weddings and romance, you know, that's the stuff of dreams, that's the stuff of TV and movies and water cooler conversations and everything else, but romantic love isn't the only aspect of love, right? Now don't get me wrong, romantic love is wonderful, so I'm told, but there's a reason that it gets so much press, right? But it's just one of the aspects of a much larger, much more all-encompassing universal truth. And that universal truth is that God is love. In fact, excuse me, I have a hair in my mouth. Okay, I think I'm done. Okay, so this is the only phrase, the only definition in the entire Christian Bible. God is love. And what we teach here in this center is that because God is love, and that God, or whatever you want to you choose to call it, I know that has a buzz for some people. That G word, I get it. I don't have a problem with it, so I can use it, but insert whatever word works for you, because what we teach is that God, or whatever it is in everything. It is through everything. Everything comes from that one. So that has to mean that at the core of all there is love. Because God is love. And we are God in expression. So how do we know this? How do we know that God is love? How do we know that love is one of the things that come naturally to us? Because we experience love. It is natural for us to love. No one has to teach us how to love. Parents know that, right? Nobody has to teach you how to love. It is simply part of who we are. Every living thing needs something or someone to love. For instance, many of you have heard about the new addition to my little family, my dog Annie. She's very famous on Facebook. But what you may not know is that I also have two cats. My 14-year-old, my seniors. These are my senior cats. These are George and Lucy. And they're brother and sister, and I've had them since they were tiny little puffballs of about 8 weeks old. Now this is George. And as you can see, George is a big cat. At his peak, he weighed about 20 pounds, so he was more like a small lion. But nowadays, he's 14. Nowadays, George has arthritis. It's pretty severe, and it's really, really tough for him to jump up and down on things because it hurts. But George loves me. And so every night, this big old creaky, croaky, arthritic lion of a cat laboriously jumps onto my bed so that he can sleep next to me and purr as loudly as you can imagine. Who needs a sound machine when you have George? Seriously. So what this tells us is that love is natural. It is normal. It is inborn within us. We experience it and we feel it because we are made from it. Because we are made of God's essence. My kitties are sweet. I'm just seeing them up there. So there's a very famous Ernest Holmes quote. It's probably one of the most famous sayings that is attributed to Ernest Holmes, and that is, love points the way, and law makes the way possible. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. In other words, love sets us in a particular direction of our desires, and that the universal law of cause and effect works with us, through us, and as us to make whatever that desire come into fruition. And this is another way that we know that love is natural and that love is normal. Because there is this fabulously powerful law that brings to us what it is that we believe. This law that I'm talking about doesn't choose, it doesn't pick, it doesn't edit, it responds to our true beliefs. And the reason why I believe that that is loving is because once we understand that there is this law that is working with us and for us and producing for us exactly what it is that we believe, we recognize and know that we're in partnership with it, that we can work with it, and it will do our bidding. It's a little bit, I hate to say this, but it's true, it's a little bit like having that giant genie from the movie The Secret standing there saying, your wish is my command. But it isn't your wish is my command. What it really is your belief is my command. And that's the caveat. Because it will work for us according to what we really believe, not what we say we believe. So it is our job to become very, very clear about what it is that we believe and what it is that we deserve. I mean, how many of us have manifested something strange or something unpleasant only to realize that, yeah, you know what, a form of that was actually lurking in the back of our minds? Anybody? No? Just me? Yeah? Okay, yeah. And also that when we cleared that up, when we cleared that belief up, and the strange or the difficult circumstance kind of cleared itself up. So what happens is that when we choose to consciously, on purpose, participate with the law, work with it, keep our thoughts clear and clean, we are acting as participants in our own life. And the law responds to us and brings to us things that we couldn't even possibly imagine. We all have those stories too. So to me, this impartial law is one of the ways that a loving energy works in our lives. It's one of the ways that I know that I live in a love-based world. Because there is a law that is working impartially on my behalf, and that it doesn't play favorites. Does that make sense? Am I making sense up here? No. Okay, good. Okay. We aren't living in a world that is preordained or predestined, and I'm really, really happy about that too. Our life story isn't already written. It isn't, we make things up as we're going along. It's like we've been given all of the tools, and then we've been left to our own devices to make up our lives as we will. Yes? Are you with me? Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, I can see you. In other words, we've been provided these essentials. Here it is. Here is everything that you need to have a good life, to have a happy life. Now, go figure it out. Yes? Go figure it out. Those of you who are parents understand what I'm talking about, right? We provide what we need, what the child needs to be successful, but children tend to learn when they do things, not when they're told things. Am I right? We have young people here in the audience. Is that true? If your mom sorry to point you out. She's like, oh God, no wonder I shouldn't have said it from. When your mom tells you to do something or how to do something, it's not as effective as when you figure it out yourself. Is that true? You bet that's true. She's like, yes, of course it's true. And as hard as it is to watch for parents, sometimes the children has to suffer a consequence in order to get the lesson. As Dr. Holmes put in his beautiful book called This Thing Called You, many people naturally ask, if God is good, if God is love, if God is peace, why all the confusion? Right? What's up with that? But he goes on to say, can't you see that even the divine will in ordaining man's destiny was compelled to let man work out his own future? The greatest gift life has made to you is yourself. You are spontaneous, self-choosing center of life in the great drama of being and the great joy of becoming. That is the essence of love pointing the way and law making the way possible. Excuse me just 1 minute. I have to turn my fan more toward me. We're fairly casual in this center. Have you figured that out already? Okay. So several years ago, there was a movie that came out that is a love story, an absolute love story. Everything that a love story would need. It has romance, it has separation, it has hardship, it has conflict, it has laughter, and it's about penguins. Have you seen this movie, March of the Penguins? Well, you're going to hear more about it. This documentary about March of the Penguins, it has every element of a love story that you can imagine with a giant dose of spirituality, evolution, and life with a capital L. So the movie is about how these birds, these incredibly awkward birds, the emperor penguins, live and love and multiply in the harshest place on Earth, Antarctica. So the movie opens with this vast iceland that is Antarctica. And the narrator talks about how this used to be like this super lush, beautiful green thing until it broke off from the rest of the continent and drifted down to the South Pole. So you got this contrast of this, like, well, okay, Alberta. No, you've got this contrast of this vast Iceland, but then he's talking about how it used to be a different way. And then he talks about how these life forms are able to not only sustain, but thrive year-round in this frozen tundra. And they're talking about these emperor penguins. In fact, not only do they sustain life, they've managed to adapt to it so uniquely that they actually thrive in the harshest conditions in the world. And what makes it a love story, and the reason why I wanted to talk about it today, is what these animals actually go through in order to sustain life, in order to procreate. So let me just kind of tell you a little bit about what this is. I'm going to show you some pictures too. Every year, when it is time for them to find a mate, they travel more than 70 miles. So help me out here, guys. How much is 70 miles in kilometers? 100K? 110? Thank you. So every year, when it's time for them to find a mate, they travel 110 kilometers, 70 miles from the sea where they feed to their breeding ground, which is a place where every emperor penguin ever in the world has been born. Now, 70 miles doesn't seem like very long, right? Especially for a bird. I mean, they just fly there, but they don't fly. They have these awkward bodies, and they kind of walk like this, and they're going across ice and snow, and the temperatures are like 50 degrees below zero. And every year, all of the emperor penguins in Antarctica converge on one site. And their purpose is to find a mate and to start a family. Again, love points the way. So here is this mass of squawking penguins, and they stink too, but I didn't want to put that in. So of course I did. Okay, but so this mass of squawking penguins, and each of them is looking for a mate that they're going to spend the next 9 months with, dancing the dance of life and death. Because emperor penguins are monogamous. They mate for life. Or at least they mate for the time that they're going to have the baby, let's put it that way. And once they found their mate, the romance begins. And they really do. They have this passionate, this beautiful, this affectionate romance. They cuddle, and they coo, and they procreate together. And she becomes pregnant. And after a 2-month gestation period, the mother lays a single egg, and they're good size, they're about this big, right? But because she has not eaten for 2 months, you know what it's like when you're in love, you don't eat, right? So she hasn't eaten for 2 months. She now has to make the 70-mile trek back down to the sea to eat. So here's what happens, is that she very awkwardly passes the egg on to the father, who is going to make a nest for it on his feet, and he's going to cover it up with a flap of skin to keep it warm. This is how they do this, folks. Count your blessings, right? Because they know that if the transfer of the egg doesn't go right, and if they don't get it just exactly right, the egg is going to get exposed to the elements, and it's going to freeze. So it stays right there on the dad's feet for 9 weeks during the harshest part of the winter. And then when the females return to feed, then the females go to feed, the males stay in the breeding ground. And then it's such a sight to see. All of these male penguins waddling around, balancing these precious eggs on their feet. Serious business. But it is such an act of selfless love, because they also have to endure the elements while this is going on. And one of the ways they do this is that they huddle into this giant moving organism of penguins. And they keep themselves and their eggs warm and safe. And sometimes they trade places so somebody else can be in the middle of the circle while the other ones brave the elements. After a few months, the baby chick emerges. And still, the fathers tend to them, waiting for mom to come back. And when the female finally does return, then the male carefully transfers the baby to the mama's birthing pouch, or brood pouch. And then he takes off and makes the 70-mile trek to the sea for the first time to feed in 4 months. Yeah. Now that would be a remarkable love story, right like that, wouldn't it? Even if it just ended right there, but there's more. There's more. Because as the weeks and the months go on, the babies are taken care of by either their mother and their father while the other one goes to feed. This is a working family focused on one thing: to nurture and grow that baby into a thriving, strong penguin capable of taking care of itself. I love so much about this story, including the fact, and now we come back to love points the way and law makes the way possible. I love this because these animals are uniquely adapted to live in their environment. To me, that speaks of a loving creative energy that has this intelligent system in place that allows life to be fully expressed even under those circumstances. Let me tell you what I mean by that. The penguins, if it wasn't this lush thing millions of years ago, and then it moved down to the Antarctic and now it's this frozen wasteland, these penguins instinctively know, because they've been hardwired by evolution and trial and error, just how far they need to march in order to get to their breeding ground. Because in the spring, what happens is that the ice shelf starts to melt, and if they haven't gone far enough back from the sea, then the ice is going to be thin, and the egg is going to fall in. And so what they've done is that they've learned that the penguins who stop too short, oh, I'm tired, my feet hurt, my back hurts, they lose their eggs. And that line of penguins didn't survive. What survived was the ones who went a little bit further. The ones that produced the generation, every penguin, every emperor penguin has descended from the long line of survivors who dared to walk the extra mile. Love points the way. Law supports it and makes it possible. Love made them want to express and to regenerate. And evolution, the law of cause and effect, figured out how to do it in the harshest place on earth. So I want to close with one more Ernest Holmes quote and another picture of a gorgeous penguin family. Ernest Holmes says, "Love is the grandest healing and drawing power on earth. It is the very reason for our being, and that explains why it is that people should have something or someone to love. The life that has not loved, has not lived, it is still dead. Love is the sole impulse for creation. No one can swing out into the universal without love, for the whole universe is based upon it." So clearly this is true for penguins living in Antarctica, just as it is true for humans living in the Great White North. So if you don't have someone to love or something to love, go find one. Go find something. It is a matter of survival of the species. I love you. Thank you for being here. And so it is.